Welcome, everybody. Doug Barry here. I appreciate you being with me. Little video for you to kind of shake things up a week here before Christmas. It is Tuesday at the time I record this video live. I know we're going to have some people jumping on here, and many of you will watch this later. This video is going to address a couple of key things. Number one is there's never been a more growing concern, I think, happening in our world right now as we see what's going on in the world right this moment. What do I mean by that? Well, as we know, the war in Ukraine still going on. War in the Middle East, over in Israel, still going on. The border still broken. And if you haven't been paying attention to recent news stories about the border, you're seeing the word record being used a lot. Record numbers of migrants coming in, record number of single young men coming across the border. At a time when we've got Iran threatening to escalate the war over in the Middle East and possibly throughout the world, at a time when the FBI and when Department of Homeland Security are talking about potential, very serious threat of potential lone wolf attacks in the United States, even over Christmas time. So these reports are coming out. Now, I know there are people, again, who will say, I have to address this because I put a video out a few days ago over the weekend about cyber warfare. And I addressed the story of China, how it's been now understood that over the last year, China has been creeping into and seeding many of our serious critical systems in America with malware, which means they're getting into our computer systems. We're talking about things such as Hawaii's water treatment plant, all right, the water system in Hawaii. We're talking about the communication system in Guam. Now, both of those are strategic locations that would be very involved in any kind of conflict between China and Taiwan if the U.S. were to get involved, which we have said we would. So we have China involved in the communications of Guam and in the water system in Hawaii. That's where the Pacific Fleet is based out of, over there in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. Now think about what that means. If they can get into water systems and communications, that means they can get into other areas of infrastructure, critical systems. Here in Texas, where I am, we are on our own power grid down here, and it was detected that China got involved in planting some malware in a particular aspect or part of that power grid. I don't know the details or logistics of that, but just so you know, they did discover that China was involved in trying to get into the power grid and had successfully done that. Within the last year, they've been in, well, whether it's China or Russia, we've heard of both getting into 12 major airports, hacking all of the major airport websites simultaneously. We're talking about major airports like LaGuardia, Chicago O'Hare, Atlanta, Hartford Jackson, Atlanta. We're talking about major institutions here. There's been other locations in other areas of infrastructure, but you're talking power grid, water treatment. Australia, a port was shut down. The majority of things that are traded in and out of Australia, this is a shipping port that was shut down. In about 6 states in the United States, a healthcare system called, I believe it's Ardent Healthcare, affecting 30 hospitals and thousands of patients was affected by a cyber attack. That's reason number one. I believe cyber attacks, reason for us to be better prepared, reason for us to take seriously. Here we are in Advent, and I know it's the last week. Christmas is coming up next week. People don't want to think about this, don't want to talk about this. I get that. I don't necessarily want to come out and put a video out talking about the seriousness of the times and the threats that we're all having to face. However, I just think it would be unwise for us to let our guard down because we want to celebrate. I can listen to Christmas music. I can celebrate. I can eat the food and enjoy the treats. And I can remember the birth of Jesus. And I can celebrate Jesus is the reason for this season, if we want to use that phrase. I can do all of that and still keep my guard up. I can do that. I can still make sure I've got those things in place that will protect me, my loved ones, those that God has entrusted to my care. Now, if you're watching this video right now, those of you who are joining it live, I'm sure you're already on the same page with regards to these things. Now, there are people out there who will hear these things, such as the cyber attacks, the border being broken, the wars escalating in parts of the world, and they will still say, that's just a bunch of saber rattling, nothing to worry about. Even though Ukraine's been at war coming up this February, 2 years. Even though what happened on October 7th in Israel, the most horrific type of attack you can imagine, even though that happens, And there are threats that could happen in other parts of the world, especially here in the United States. And people will still say, it's not that big a deal. I saw that in a comment on my last video. Someone said, it's been going on for 80 years, nothing to worry about here. It's very short-sighted, in my opinion, for any of us to actually look at the times that we're in right now and not realize the danger of what we're facing. If the water system gets shut off, if the power grid goes down, and we don't have access to any of those basic necessities, that is as diabolical and as twisted as can possibly be, and as destructive as can possibly be. If you take a society of any kind, a city, community, whatever, and you start infiltrating into the most basic things that it needs, food, water, medical, communications, interaction with one another, and you shut that down, you leave people isolated, you leave people afraid, you leave people desperate, you will find all kinds of chaos potentially unfolding. So what can we do? Get better prepared. Now, we have at BRC a course. By the way, it is on sale right now for these next few days, actually through tomorrow, Wednesday, midnight, Wednesday the 20th, midnight, Central Time. The course goes off sale. There's a link in the description below. Go check it out. It gets you the entire Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course for $197. Go check that out in the link in the description below. This course will get you started, get you moving the right way. So go check that out. I really, really encourage that. But if you don't do that, if you don't sign up for the course, and there's a money back guarantee on it, go check out the details on it. Click the link. It'll take you out there and you can start looking it over. See the testimonies, the people that have been affected by it. By the way, I got to tell you this. A friend of mine who had been in the military for over 30 years. This is a man who has been connected to and gone on deployments and missions with SEAL teams. Right? This is a very good friend, trusted individual, looked over our course and gave it 2 thumbs up, thought it was great. Very helpful to help the individual person start taking the basic steps. For example, how to have a bag in your vehicle. So if the power goes out, gas stations are shut down, you can't travel, there's chaos in the streets, you've got to get off the road and get home or get to a safe place. What do you have on you and with you in order for you to be able to do that for you and your loved ones? For you mothers out there, mothers, grandmothers, fathers, grandfathers too, but especially you ladies, because you have that nurturing side. We men are supposed to have that, but in general, we have the protective side. I want to protect my family. I want to protect those that God entrusts to my care. But you ladies, you understand that nurturing and that care when a child is crying, they're scared. You want to comfort them. Now, hopefully, you're taking steps to do that. But if you're driving down the road in your car and you don't have any items to take care of your kids, think about what you put in a diaper bag. You put things in the diaper bag or in your purse or travel bag of some sort to, keep the kids calm in times of a crisis. Well, what if that crisis is something as serious as streets get shut down because of some sort of chaos, some sort of civil unrest? Like the 150 plus riots, mostly peaceful protests that were going on in America a few years ago because of George Floyd and BLM, when cities were on fire in some places. And then we see what happens in Israel again, October 7th, when Hamas decided to go all diabolical on the people in Israel. Now we've seen major protests all over the streets in the United States and other parts of the world. In fact, the news right here, I just saw this morning, Arab anti-Israel protests show up at a Democrat congressman's home in the middle of the night. 3 a.m. they showed up, blaring car horns and screaming. A group of anti-Israel protesters descended on the home of Representative Shri Thanadar in Michigan over the weekend, blowing car horns and screaming as they sought to punish him for what they claimed was his quote-unquote silence on the deaths of Palestinians in Gaza amid Israel's war with Hamas. 3 a.m., they show up outside his house, blaring car horns, screaming, and there's threatening and so forth. This is the sort of things going on. So we know that there's potential for this. Now you compound that with what's going on at the border. If you haven't seen these videos, go out and take a look, especially Fox News. They've been covering it. Bill Malusian's been down there, a reporter, showing video footage of mostly young single men who are coming into the country in droves. Now our country, for whatever reason, they've left this border open. Looks as intentional as can be. But we've got all these different pieces coming together. Now, yes, we want to enjoy Christmas. I do too. And I will this week, still getting ready to celebrate the birth of Jesus. But Advent, by the way, is not just about getting ready for December 25th. We look at the this is a very short Advent for those of us who pay attention to the weeks and days of Advent. But it's not just about getting ready for December 25th. The idea of preparing for Jesus is preparing for him to be in your life and your heart forever. But preparation, 'tis the season to be prepared, I should say, is not just about spiritual preparation. It's about natural preparation too, especially when we see what's happening. Signs of the times. If a crisis hits on Christmas Eve, heaven forbid, please, Lord, no. But if it does, while we still want to get to Mass, we still want to celebrate, if it's a serious crisis, we have to address the crisis as well. Whether it's a natural disaster or some man-made problem, we would still have to do it. In other words, focusing on Christmas, focusing on Advent does not negate our responsibility of paying attention to the natural situation that we're living in. This is one of the reasons we created the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. We call it BREP for short, BREP. We created that to help people be better prepared. We focus on 4 tiers: being ready for 3 days, being ready for 3 weeks, and then for 3 months, and then for a year plus. We focus on 5 main categories: food, water, shelter, medical care, and defense, protection, safety, which is something we all want, we all need. And you can think about it: if you're thirsty and you're hungry and you need some medical care and you need a roof over your head because it's raining, but someone's attacking you, you're going to have to deal with the attack before you deal with the other 4. So point being, we need all 5. We need those 5 main categories. Then we break it down from there in those different categories. What we can do, what steps we should take. Now, Christmas, of course, right around the corner. You want to get a gift for someone, get it for their family, sign them up for the course. Click that link in the description below, brcoalition.com/course. Go on out there, take a look at it. There's a money-back guarantee on it, and I do promise you, you will benefit from it. There are things you will learn that you may never have thought of. One quick example is this. Back to that situation. You're driving down the road. There's some crisis in town. Streets are locked down for some reason. You got to get out of your car and you got to start moving. Number one, have a bag with you that has basic emergency items. We go through this in the course over and over again. We've had free downloads on this. We've done webinars on it, how to build out an emergency bag or a bug out bag or a go bag, whatever you want to refer to it as. That's number one. And the different items that are really essential to have in there. And then you have to tailor that based on your family, your situation. I don't have kids living at home anymore. I don't have babies that I have to care for all the time. Grandkids sometimes, yes. And so for that purpose, we have a go bag for the times we have the grandkids with us. But if you have children, you've got to tailor the bag for that. These are things we address in the course. But a second piece of that is not just the bag, it's your shoes. What footwear do you have in your car right now? Or what do you wear when you get in the car to go somewhere? If you don't have shoes that you can walk any great distance in, that are going to be comfortable, that aren't going to destroy your feet, leave you with blisters, or if it's a weather condition you got to think about, such as being up north in the wintertime, what footwear do you have to protect yourself? If you've got open-toed shoes, ladies, you got dress shoes on, men, you got dress shoes on, and you're going to Mass, going to work, wherever you might be going, and you have to get out of the car and walk through some cold weather, some snow. Maybe you got to get off the roads because they're dangerous for some reason. You got to walk through fields, but you don't have even tennis shoes or hiking boots or something of that nature. Then you're going to find yourself in a real dangerous and bad situation, especially if you have others to care for, like kids. So these are things that we've got to be thinking about. We should do it anyway, because you might get hit with a blizzard or a flat tire or something like that. Those things happen. But especially with what we see happening in the world right now. Not a doom and gloomer. In fact, I'm very much the opposite. Very much about hope. Otherwise, I wouldn't do these videos. I wouldn't travel, give the talks that I give. I wouldn't have this YouTube channel. We would not have started Be Our Coalition if we were about doom and gloom. We're about trying to bring a message of hope. And hope is found when you have a plan of action when you're confronted with a crisis. Flat tire, plan of action. You've got the jack, you know how to change the tire, you got a good spare there, you're ready to go. Or you've got a device that'll help you reinflate the tire and seal, the green goo stuff to help seal that tire. Or you can call AAA. Even that's a plan of action. But then while you're waiting for AAA, are you going to be safe on that side of the road, wherever you are, whatever those conditions are? Plan of action in the face of a crisis, medical, defensive situation, major crisis, whatever it might be, plan of action brings hope. What is Christmas all about ultimately? It's about a plan of action that God put in place back in Genesis when man fell, when Adam and Eve dropped the ball and sin entered the world. You go to Genesis 3:15, what do you hear? that a woman is coming and there will be a crushing of the head of the serpent because of the woman. That's Our Lady right here. That's Our Lady. And that is speaking about her being the one that would bring into the world the redemption of mankind, Jesus. And that is what, there he is right there on my other monitor right there. That is what we're talking about when we talk about Christmas. Christmas is all about God's plan of action to bring hope in the face of the crisis of the fall of man. So shouldn't we imitate that in some way, shape, and form in everything we do wherever we go in life? To try to be that source of God's grace, to be that plan of action to help others. Be ready to go to help others. And that's what the BREP course is about. The Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. Go to brcoalition.com. Check that out in the link in the description below. It's on sale right now through midnight, Wednesday, the 20th of December, Central Time. There's a money-back guarantee on it. Check it out. It is worth it. Get that for someone else. It's a bit of an investment maybe for you, depending upon your price point, but I guarantee you it will be one of those things that can save a life. It can bring that sense of confidence. And how many of us don't want, really, do you not want your children, your grandchildren to know how to change a tire, jumpstart a car? Those are things we talk about in the course, let alone storing water for long term, talking about things like water purifier filters like this Lifesaver, one of my favorites out there on the market. Who doesn't want them to have backup power, whether you're carrying a little battery brick station like this, or whether you've got a larger, like a Blue Eddy or a Jackery, so you've got a backup solar powered battery station in case the power goes out and you've got to run your refrigerator, your freezer, medicine that you might need to have that is necessary to be refrigerated. You name it. We go down the line. That's what the course does. Breaks all these things down. We talk about it in our YouTube channel, BR Coalition YouTube channel, my Doug Barry YouTube channel here, our webinars, constantly trying to help bring hope. Let's do that for one another, especially right now in this great season of Advent and soon to be Christmas and celebration of God's plan of action to bring hope to the world in times of the crisis of sin. Let's be part of that. And I hope that you will take a look at the BR Coalition course, BREP, and really pay attention to what you can gather from that. Okay, look at what's going on in the news, the border, the wars, natural disasters, all types of things that are out there. Don't be overwhelmed by them, though. Don't be. And the better prepared we are spiritually and naturally, less likely we're going to let anxiety get to us and overwhelm us when it comes to these things happening in the world. But as you pay attention to what's happening in the world, know that it's not necessarily just going to go away. This is something that we are being confronted with that we're going to have to deal with. So let's not be overwhelmed by it. Let's understand a sense of urgency, but let's understand what it takes to be part of the solution and part of that plan of hope. All right. Again, I hope you go out to brcoalition.com. Check the link in the description below. That will get you right out to sign up for the course. And again, you got money back guarantee on it, so don't worry about that. You're not going to lose anything on it if it doesn't work for you. But in the short amount of time that you'll have to actually look it over, you're going to find that you've got a lot there. I'm looking at the course right now, the layout of it here. There's a lot there. There's just a ton of things here you're going to be able to absorb in the amount of time that you have before if you decide not to keep it and get your money back. I promise you, though, it's going to help you. All right. I hope and pray you have an amazing remaining time here between now and Christmas next week. I hope and pray you have an amazing new year that's coming up. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges happening in the world. Let's work together. Let's be close to God. And let's be better prepared in every way, shape, and form. All right. brcoalition.com. Go check it out. My name is Doug Barry. Check out more on my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you again in the next video. God bless you.